can hear me, please give me a thumbs up. Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Councilman Van Cleek,
Here.
Councilman Secreto, Councilman Kitchen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hayner. Here. Supervisor Quigley.
Yes, here. Thank you. Tonight is the Town of Ulster Town Board meeting for Thursday, January 20th, 2022. Welcome all. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
No.
Tonight, we have a public audience, and we will give individuals here an opportunity, if they have comments on agenda items, to please come forward to the podium. I wish to remind you, we have two public hearings tonight, so comments on those I would ask to be reserved to the public hearing. But are there any items on the agenda that any members of the public wishes to make a comment on? Come on up, sir. Please state your name for the record.
My name's Keith Dieter. Live on 85 Fawn Hill Court, Town of Ulster.
Okay,
I believe there's a resolution for expanding a water system.
there is a discussion,
Okay,
not a resolution.
okay, that's just, I don't know. Do I go on from here?
Yes, please.
Okay, okay. My concern is this property is, sorry, this is a right of way that was granted under the Bright Acres subdivision map back when it was designed. Okay, there's a piece of property in the back that was, I believe Kennedy's a long time ago that was split by 28. It was a farm. These people were paid for their property, but the family still owns part of it. Recently, I think you're probably pretty aware of this. One of the people who acquired the property through death or whatever is from Cooperstown. He's coming down here, and the 13 acres in back he wants to use. I'm not here to say nobody can use their property. That was a fight that went on 5 years ago, different lawsuits with the Forest Hill community and the Fawn Hill community. And the judgment was no access from either development to that property. Now, like I said, I'm not here to prevent anybody from using their property. Okay. Now, the piece of property in question was my property. Okay. I have here right here on the subdivision map that was filed with Town of Ulster. Okay. That 50-foot piece of right of way was granted for the use of Town of Ulster. Okay. I was buying the property. I said, well, if it's dedicated to the Town of Ulster, what do I want the property for? Sabino held the property. Sabino now sold it to this gentleman from Cooperstown to access his property, okay, which I'm not against, with stipulations. Okay, but I will read from the site development. Now we're going to expand the water system again.
No, we're not expanding the water system. Basically, what we're doing is we're giving a right, like we did with the Dr. Khan on
Okay.
Forest Hill Drive.
Which is next to me with a pile of stumps and trees piled higher than the ceiling, bigger than the 5 pickup trucks there rotting.
Okay.
Again, I'm not against any of this stuff, but if you're gonna grant people the access to do this stuff, do it right. You let the other Fuzzy Walker's subdivision tap into it, right? We're running all this off a piece of plastic laying in a ditch down under 209, right?
For
When-
now.
For the last 10 years.
No, there's about to be an announcement made on that.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Every other district gets projects done in their districts. How come we never have any projects? Are we gonna?
Come see me.
Okay. Now, my question is, and I will read to you off the site plan map filed with Town of Ulster. Reservation of the joining Kennedy property. This reservation shall not be effective and shall not be used unless a separate road has been constructed and dedicated to the Town of Ulster by Kennedy, his successors, providing access to New York State Route 28 or another town road. Is that what's happening there?
No.
Okay.
And just for a point of reference, when that restriction was articulated, the neighbors were up in arms because they like a controlled access. One way in, one way out.
Okay.
They did not want
Well,
the road.
I understand that.
Okay,
I understand that. I'm not arguing that.
we will
I'm
have this
just-
matter
I'm
reviewed.
just stating what's stated on this piece of paper.
We will review it.
Okay. I'm not against the gentleman using the property, but to let him go there, okay, now we're gonna provide water to him and everything else. There's 13 acres back there. How many homes is gonna be back there?
When he comes in to talk to us, we'll be able to answer that question.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Has he contacted you?
Sent me a letter.
Have you
Um,
personally spoke to him?
No, I have not.
Okay,
I've been dealing with some pretty significant medical issues with my wife lately, and this is not my priority.
okay,
Trust me, I do not want to be here tonight
thank you,
because I received some really bad news tonight, okay?
thank you. Are there any other individuals who would like to speak about? Good evening, Anna.
Good evening. My name is Anna Parks. The same thing about the same individual. I know this Mr. Maxwell has a property he purchased between me and Mr. Dieter. And I was told that there's a possibility of him joining our water district. And the thing is, I had health department, Steve Britton, coming to me a couple of years ago regarding a different issue. He's from the health department. He told me that because we have a temporary fix to our development providing water, which Mr. Keefe said, a pipe going under 209, providing us with the water system. So that's a temporary fix. He told me, Mr. Steve, that we are not to hook up any additional services to our neighborhood until we have a permanent fix to our current water situation. Is that correct?
No, because I haven't received that message.
Okay, well, I can contact health department again and clarify with him. Thank you.
Any other individuals here tonight to comment about any item on the agenda? Hearing none, we will move forward on approval of the minutes of the December 2nd, 2021 workshop meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I would like a motion on the approval of the minutes of December 16th, 2021 for the town board meeting, and I will abstain as I was not present at the meeting and unable to connect electronically to be able to make a determination as to whether the meeting minutes accurately reflect the.
I'll make the motion. I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Communications? Thank you. Abstract of claims?
We have two abstracts of claims to deal with. One is for the year end of 2021. We had prepaid of $460,691.43. We had abstract bills of $278,096.39 for a total of $738,787.82.
I'll make a motion to Pass that. Abstract.
Any discussion on the abstract? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Now I have an abstract for January of 2022. Prepaid bills totaling 403,888.55. Abstract bills, $633,450.97. Accounts payable of 132.65 for a total of $1,037,472.17.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Any discussion on the second abstract? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. There are no budget modifications for tonight. The next item on our agenda is department head year-end reports. Mr. Tutt, you're up first. Please come up so the people in the internet world can hear you.
So Central Hudson has completed the gas village. The PCC structures is next and should start in early spring. 10 Brooks Commons has completed phase 1 and started on phase 2. 901 Grant Avenue has completed demolition and we are waiting for their site plan. RBW has completed phase 1 and is starting phase 2. RBW is the high-end lighting manufacturer at the end of Voices Lane. Romeo Kia has finished blasting at the new site and is preparing to work on drainage issues at the previous site. Construction of that building will start in the spring. Romeo Chevrolet is planning an addition in the spring to what we discussed before. Kingswood Plaza is getting ready to start their construction for CNC Unisex. Target is preparing a major interior renovation to start in March. Kohl's is adding Sephora to their location. Site work for the crossings has started and they will begin construction in the spring. That is the apartments on Old Neighborhood Road. We have 2 new solar farms currently being reviewed. And lastly, Tech City is called iPark 87. More to follow on that site. In 2021, we issued 629 permits, 55 certificates of occupancy, and 314 certificates of compliance.
Thank you, Mr. Tutt. Next, Chief Berardi.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor and town board members. First, I want to thank the town board, town supervisor, and all the other department heads for a successful 2021. We couldn't have done it with without all our cooperation. Second, I'd like to thank the men and women of the Ulster Police Department. Obviously, we're still going through COVID, but they continue to come in every day and do their jobs. And we're doing it successfully. 2021 was a busy year for us. We handled just shy of 14,000 calls for service. Handled 775 reportable accidents. That's the ones we did reports on. 385 arrests. Detectives handled 241 cases. Included in those are unfortunately 5 fatal overdoses that were investigated. The town had 19 overdoses total last year, slightly lower than a year before, but still not as low as we'd like to be. Also, we investigated 1 homicide last year. And the joint Kingston Ulster Special Investigations Unit that we share resources with conducted 108 cases. They strictly focus on narcotics investigations, violent crime, gang, drugs, and things of that nature. It's been successful. I appreciate the town board's support with that and like to continue it. Training hours, we implemented 2,440 training hours last year to all our employees. We have a total of 52 employees. That's 29 full-time and 23 part-time. We operate 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Last year, we implemented our body cameras that we purchased. We rolled them out in December. The officer's been out in the field with them for the last 2-3 weeks now, working out the bugs, but I think they've come to support us in our endeavors. We're also working on our reaccreditation. We have to meet 110 standards. We've been accredited agency since 2002, and we go through reaccreditation every 5 years. It's a lengthy process, but I think it's a rewarding process because we're meeting the standards that the state sets and exceeding our expectations in serving the community. If there's no questions, I want to thank everybody and appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Petremont?
Good evening. Last 21 was a challenging year for all of us, all of the departments. We held up pretty good through it. I'm glad to say today we're 100% healthy. We paved about 5 miles of roadway last year, did multiple drainage projects, did multiple projects at the parks. We've had a busy year. Last winter, we had, I believe, 43 inches of snow. We're at just under 10 inches to this year, and hopefully we'll stay there. The only bad part about that is the ice. That seems to be the flavor of the storm this year. But all the new equipment that we have purchased, we've all received. It's in service. And I thank the board for your support in getting that. That's also a challenging item right now, along with some parts. It's hard to get because of COVID, but we'll push through it and appreciate the hard work that all our employees do, and also all the other departments that help us. So, any
Would
questions?
you just comment on the discussion that we had today about the acquisition of capital equipment and what we may be facing going forward?
Well, as it is now, we had a truck on order since April that was supposed to be here January, won't be built until April. Some of the other vehicles, the bigger trucks, the time frame has gone back quite a ways. So if we order a truck now, we probably won't receive it till 23. And we heard today there's a possibility at one of the agencies where we buy our trucks from, along with every other municipality, is that they're going to start limiting how many trucks can be ordered because of the shortness of equipment, parts for the vehicles. It's just, things got to get better here sooner or later. So let's hope 22 is the year to go.
So it is a possibility that absent our ability to buy new capital equipment, we will not be able to meet the standards that we have in the past because we will have more breakdowns and more out of service time.
Yeah, the longer you run the older equipment, the more it's going to cost.
Thank you.
I said that years ago when we first bought our piece of equipment that we had to bond, so. And that had paid off for a few years, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Majori, on behalf of the sewer department.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor and Town Board and members of the public. 2021 was a very productive year for the Ulster Sewer Department. We completed a number of different projects. One of the most recent completions is a bar screen system that removes all the debris that gets flushed down the toilets. This piece of equipment and project from our 2019 study was quoted for $650,000. We came in at $207,000. So considerable savings by doing a lot of the work in-house. Another piece that we installed this year was a new boiler system. The new boiler system so far on the propane savings is around 40% savings in propane. And once it's finalized with the new gas system, we can run on biogas, which will save us even more money. This project on the 2019 study was quoted for $650,000. we came in, oh, I mixed that up. The boiler project, we came in at 207,194. And the screen project, we actually came in at 197,139, and that was a $600,000 quoted project. So considerable savings by doing all of this work in-house. This work in-house helps us save money, obviously, but it also trains our employees and has them better understand these pieces of equipment so that they know how to handle them if they go down and how to maintain them better so they don't go down. Other than that, we completed phase 1 of the Spring Lake Sewer. We have 39 total pump station installs and house connections. We did another install in Katrine Lane this year. And another project that we're working on currently, it started in 2021, is the influent pump panel upgrade. Some of this got slowed down by supply problems, couldn't get parts. We've got most of the parts in place now. Some of the work is completed, and the rest of it will get completed in 2022. All of the sewer department staff is healthy, and we've been staying safe. And that's about it. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ms. Reby, as the town clerk, do you have a report to present?
In the town clerk's office, on May 6th, 2021, the town board approved a bid to develop a new Town of Ulster website. That project has been a great experience involving every town department and the input of each department head and some employees. The new website is about 95% complete, ready to launch any day now. On October 7th, 2021, the town board approved a contract for a new phone system in all town buildings, town hall, highway complex, water plant, and sewer plant, and a radio and phone recording system for the police department. Since December, the new phone system has been in place and replaced an antiquated system. It is very efficient, and it serves both town employees and the public, supporting our duty as a municipality to serve all. I want to thank the town board for the approval of both of those much needed upgrades. In December, the town of Ulster received COVID test kits and masks at the direction of Ulster County Deputy Executive Mark Ryder. In December, my office distributed 650 test kits and over 300 masks. We still have some more, distributing more further into January. Financially, in 2021, tax collection totaled just under 19 million. The town clerk's office collected fees totaling $473,000, including 94 marriage licenses, 172 death certificates, 455 dog licenses, 103 hunting and fishing licenses. And as far as the town board, in 2021, the town board held 7 meetings virtually and 17 in person. And the town board made 352 motions and or resolutions last year. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bernholz is not here tonight, so I will read the assessor's report. From the assessor, we are accepting exemption applications that need to be renewed every year through March 1st, 2022. So I would encourage those who have exemptions to please contact the assessor's office to discuss your exemption. 5217 transfers have continued to be processed throughout the year to keep the most updated owner information accurate. Tax bills went out earlier this month, so Mary, the administrative assistant, has been handling calls that the department receives in regards to change of addresses, exemption explanations, etc. To date, the assessor's office has finished 99% of the inspections for building permits that were received by their office. There are a handful that will be re-inspected when we get closer to the taxable status date of March 1st. All of the minor assessment changes have been completed for this year's roll. Currently, we were working on the major assessment changes such as new constructions, additions, etc. This will be what will occupy a majority of their time for the next few months to close out the role before the deadline of May 1st. And that concludes the assessor's report. Judge Kessick, do you have a report to give us? Mr. Rose, the superintendent of the water department, is not here tonight. He is recovering from his booster shot. We will take his report at the next meeting. As for the supervisor, 2021 was a challenging year. We undertook a lot of capital projects, as you've heard the various departments talk about. There was great coordination between all the departments. In the Spring Lake Sewer District, the Highway Department was responsible for the excavation and the pavement restoration, while the Sewer Department did the installs of the sewer lines and the service connections, and then following up with the pump connections. I wanted to thank both departments for their efforts in that project. As it relates to the town hall building, we undertook the replacement of the generator, which everyone can see is out in the front yard. That was a cooperative effort between the building department, the highway department, the water department, as it relates to the installation and construction of the activities. I want to thank those departments for their assistance. Mr. Petromall had the highway department undertake a drainage project that would eventually relieve the flooding conditions in the basement. We connected the pond on the east side of the building through a newly constructed culvert pipe to a manhole that drains into the Esopus Creek. So when it rains now and that pond fills, it flows out to the Esopus Creek. Prior to the installation of that pipe, it flowed into the basement. I also want to thank the building department for the coordination of the renovations that took place in the basement of this building, where we rebuilt the detective division and several other offices for the police department. That allowed us to take and relocate the detective division from the trailer and finally get out of the trailers and back into the building. You will also note in this meeting room a new ceiling grid system and lighting that was coordinated through Mr. Tutt and the contractors that he brought in to coordinate the ceiling installation and the electric. None of these activities that are townwide can be accomplished without the cooperation of all the employees and the departments. And I owe each one of them a sincere thank you for their actions in 2021. With that, that concludes my brief report. I will move to the agenda under new business. We will dispatch these few items that we have and move on to the public hearing, which is what I believe everyone is here for. First item under new business is a presentation and acceptance of the town clerk's monthly report for the month of December 2021. Before I ask for a motion to accept, is there anything you wish to call to our attention in the report? May I have a motion to accept? Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is an annual event. The next four items are annual events where the town board authorizes the retention of professional lawyers for advising the town. The first one is a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the engagement letter for legal services for 2022 to be provided by Rusk, Wadlin, Hepner, and Marticello. May I have a motion, please? Do I have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next matter is a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the engagement letter for legal services for 2022 to be provided by Rebecca Maloris Lettery, PLLC. May I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the engagement letter for legal services for 2022 to be provided by Vanderwater and Van LLP. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The final motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the engagement letter for legal services for 2022 to be provided to Tabner Ryan Kinnery LLP. May I have a motion? Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is a motion authorizing the town clerk to go out to public bid for the purchase of chemicals during 2022 on behalf of the Town of Ulster Water Department and the Town of Ulster Sewer Department.
I make that motion.
I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, based upon the public comment heard tonight, I wish to defer the discussion on the second item until we have further information. Ladies and gentlemen, under the concluding item of new business, I wish to present a new local law to be considered by the town board for adoption. It's a local law allowing members of the town board to participate in town board meetings via video conference from locations outside the town of Ulster boundary lines. This is in response to an article that was in the Association of Towns magazine for the month of January that just recently was received here, where they indicated that the state law has a requirement that all town boards must conduct their meetings within the boundaries of the town, but is silent on members participating from outside the town. So under the home rule provision of the New York State Constitution, it was recommended that towns that may have an opportunity for a board member to participate outside of the town of Ulster boundary be allowed via local law. This will follow our standard legislative process. The law is being introduced. I ask that it be listed on our town's website for public notice. At the next meeting, we will ask to set a public hearing. And then 4 weeks hence, we will conduct a public hearing. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, under old business, we have a referral, or no, the first item is a resolution granting site plan approval extension for Ulster Hospitality LLC with consent of 1561 Ulster Properties LLC, 1581 Ulster Avenue, Lake Katrine, SBL 39.82-2-7.119. Several years ago, the town board, at the recommendation of the town planning board, granted site plan approval for the construction of a hotel adjacent to the Caremont Medical Building on Ulster Avenue. Due to issues with the Ulster County IDA in a pilot, due to COVID, the project has been delayed. The developer wishes to preserve his approvals so that he can consider starting construction in the spring of 2022. So may I have a motion accepting the resolution as presented?
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the matter? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is a resolution granting final site plan approval with conditions for Romeo Chevrolet, project number 867, 1665-1673 Ulster Avenue, Lake Katrine, New York, SBL 39.82.18.100. It is in the OM zone. The applicant has made an application to the Town of Ulster Planning Board for the construction of a 4,500 square foot addition to the Chevrolet dealership. It has undergone review by the planning board, and the planning board has referred it to the town board as is required under the town code for the town board to issue the final site plan approval. With that, may I have a motion to accept the resolution as presented? Mr. Secreto, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Ms. Hayner seconds. Any discussion on the resolution? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The last item under old business is a resolution declaring the town of Ulster to be designated as lead agency, under seeker, and refer the Woods Road Solar Project, projects 866 and 868, located at 550 Wood Road, SBL 48.14-1-1.111 and 48.10-1-38.300 to Ulster County Planning Board for review. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion on the resolution? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our listed agenda. I will now go back to the public hearings, which were first scheduled for 7:10. This is a public law on a local law that was introduced 2 meetings ago. It's a local law to modify section blank of the town zoning code, a local law known and cited as parkland and recreation fees. Several years ago, the town of Ulster instituted a $1,500 per unit recreation fee for multifamily construction within the town, and the proceeds were dedicated to recreational facilities within our community. We received from the construction of 162 units at the Ulster Gardens a substantial sum of money, which still remains available and was planned on being dedicated to other capital projects that have been deferred. But out of that money, we did build the rail trail parking lot using the highway department off of Rockwell Lane on the southern part of the town of Ulster. So that was a productive use. Our proposal tonight in local law is to modify the fee schedule so that projects less than 40 would pay $1,500 per unit, and projects greater than 40 would pay $3,000 a unit. May I have a motion to open the public hearing? Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to make public comment on this local law, please come to the podium. State your name. Please attempt to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Do I have anybody wishing to make public comment on this matter? I have a motion to close. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. I guess this is the matter everyone shows up for. Tonight, we will continue the public hearing from December 16th, 2021. The town board meeting on a special permit issuance use for Mo's Motor Cars LLC, project 862, located at 454 Hurley Avenue in the town of Ulster. Section block and lot 48.17-1-41.100. The planning board has met. The planning board has reviewed the project and forwarded it with its recommendations to the town board. Last night, the zoning board met and voted to issue a variance for a 6-foot chain link fence or of other materials on the site. Tonight's matter is for the town board to take public comment on the project and listen to what the public has to say in its consideration and deliberation of issuing a special permit. So we have a public hearing that is now open. I would ask anyone that wishes to comment on this, please raise your hand. Please come to the podium. Please state your name and please attempt to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Do I have anyone here tonight that wishes to make a public comment on the matter?
I have a question. Are people online allowed to make comment?
Yes, Mr. Mack, we will get to you when we finish with public comment here.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name's David Olson. I spoke at the last couple meetings too. The planning board, zoning board, town board, they all kind of run together, so I might be repeating myself, but I just want to reiterate in my canvassing of the neighborhood, I live up in the Rolling Meadows area. There is not one household, one person that is in favor of this, and we submitted a petition. I'm assuming you guys have either heard of it or have over 100, well over 100 people's names on it that they've signed, saying that this is not appropriate for that location. It's it's a residential type area with a couple churches there now. Granted, it used to be a convenience store, which again, that was a benefit that anybody and everybody could, if they needed something, they could stop by, they could get gas, they could get bread, and they had pizza and stuff like that. a used car lot is not in any way a benefit to anybody. It's not even going to be open to people to come by and look at cars, because he's claimed that I believe he said all the sales will be happening online. So again, where is the benefit to the immediate community? I don't see any. And I think he's also mentioned that there's increased tax benefit. Okay, he's already bought the property, so he's already paying taxes on it. That's well and good, but there's no, for the type of business that he's running or will be running, that he's reported to be running, there's no benefit to the town or the immediate area that warrants approval of this project. So I just want everybody to consider that, and thanks for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Olson.
This is my first time speaking at a public hearing like this, so I apologize if I stutter. Or
Just
anything.
go for
All
it.
right. All right, my name is Tara Arthurs, and I'm here to speak on behalf of my elderly parents, Henry and Teresa Lichendorf, as their power of attorney, which I have a copy of if you need it. They live at 478 Hurley Avenue, which is right on the other side of Good Shepherd Lutheran Church at the corner of Fairway Drive and Hurley Avenue. My parents have lived there since 1971. The property has been signed over to me in 2016, so technically I am the current property owner. I was born and raised there, but currently I live a few miles away near Edson Elementary. I go there every day to help care for my 91-year-old father, so I pass by this site every day and know the history of it. I remember when the 3 parcels there and the area behind them were all wooded land and walking trails. I miss those days. However, the church and the mini mart have been added and serve a purpose in the community. So a few months ago, when I started to see movement at this former mini mart site, with the trees being cleared, I eagerly awaited an announcement to see what was going to be built. There was no mention of anything in the local papers at that time. I just got a notice in the mail regarding a public hearing about a fence variance. Soon afterwards, my neighbor informed me that a used car lot was going there and they wanted to build a fence around it. I attended that first fence variant meeting, but was too intimidated to speak. But I think the many neighbors that also attended pretty much stated what I felt. I was late to last night's Zoom meeting for the fence variant, but figured the fence is a fence regardless of the height. So I did not speak last night either, again, feeling a little intimidated. And from what I was listening to, it sounds like Mr. Wahid is entitled to build a fence like the one next door, which, by the way, I'm not too happy with either, since it no longer serves a purpose. It was mentioned last night that no one has complained about that fence. So I do want to make the council aware of my feelings on that fence as well. It's rusting and overgrown with vines. If the fence is to remain, it should be upkept and manicured. Otherwise, take it down and let the nature take its course. I'm not against redevelopment of this old mini mart site, but I'm not sure what a used car lot or storage facility would bring to this neighborhood. We have a few small used car lots nearby within a few mile radius. Abil Auto Sales on Washington Avenue, Executive Auto Wholesalers on Silk Hill Road, along with many, many more on Albany Avenue and Broadway. These are all small lots with around 20 vehicles, not the multi-million-dollar dealerships like Romeo, as mentioned in last night's meeting. These small lots all have one thing in common. Not one has a fence around their property. So when I think about a fence around the parking lot on gravel, unpaved surface with no lighting and a trailer as an office, I think of a vehicle impound lot, not an online used car site, wanting people to view their cars for sale. I have bought a used car online before, and it is important for the customer to actually see and drive the car before being purchased. So I'm not sure what impression a customer will have when they visit this lot. I keep hearing about trespassing on this property. I know I visit car lots after hours, so I'm not pushed by a car dealer. Many dealerships have security cameras. I would think that would be more secure than a fence, since it would capture anyone on the property, and if any damage is done, it would be recorded. A fence cannot do that. If someone wants to get in, they'll get in no matter how high your fence is. Also, I would like to know exactly what kind of chain link fence would be installed. Is it galvanized steel or aluminum? Would it be commercial grade and quality, or will it rust like the one next door and become a bigger eyesore in the years to come? Will there be barbed wire around the top? Will the gates slide or swing open? I'm just not sure trees and shrubbery can hide the ugliness of this vehicle impound-like vision I see in my head. Pictures and material information of such fence would be helpful in a public hearing like this to ease people's imagination if you're wanting our blessing. Also, will the stored vehicles be driven or towed in from this location, to and from the location? Will any of these vehicles be repossessions and stored for this reason? I believe during the first fence variance meeting, Mr. Wahid mentioned that he bought many properties previously and fixed them up. I have tirelessly been combing the internet to try and find previous businesses or properties that Mr. Wahid has fixed up, but could not find one. So I'm hoping he can provide more information about any of his past projects. I ask this because the residents of the town of Ulster have been through enough bad developer deals. I missed the last meeting regarding this special use permit, but I did watch it online. And I echo all my neighbors that spoke that night. And from what I've heard so far, my parents and I are against the site plan, and I hope you vote no on the special use permit.
Very well for your first time.
Thank you.
And just as a
Sorry, a little
note,
shaky.
I gave you more time. So
Thank you.
do we have any other speakers here tonight? Any other individuals here present that wish to make, Pete? I'll get to you.
Good evening. I'm Pete Schultz, the pastor of Cross Point Fellowship, right across the street from the proposed lot. And I'm also a resident of Hurley Avenue, just about a mile further down the road. I spoke at the town board meeting last month, and I just wanted to come back as our last opportunity to speak into this. I want to thank you, the town board members, the zoning board, and the planning board for the way that you've approached it. It's been thoughtful, and we were incredibly respectful of the individuals. But we still disagree with the decisions that have been made, at least to date. We believe that the variances that have been granted to move that fence forward and to raise the height of the fence, both of which would have required a variance, are a mistake based upon the character of that neighborhood. We believe that visually, that is not in keeping with the neighborhood. It's the gateway into Hurley. It's a part of the town of Ulster, and we believe, respectfully, it's going to be an eyesore. What we would ask is that that fence be left at 4 feet and still further back from the road. I do want to acknowledge that Mr. Wahid has made a lot of effort to try to accommodate the town, and I appreciate his approach to it. He's done his best. He's gone as far as he can. But at this point, we're still asking that you would keep that fence down to a 4-foot level or further back from the road. We'd also ask you to consider to do anything that you might be able to do to minimize the visual impact of the used car lot that's there. So whether that's screening for the fence, the height of the fence, so the setback, anything that could be done would be greatly appreciated. And we would just continue to appreciate your consideration of all those factors. My heart aches for the neighbors that live near it. I hurt for Mr. Wahid and what he's gone through, but this is in your lap at this point, and that's why you get the big bucks. So we appreciate your efforts on this, and we will respect the decision, but we'd ask for your consideration. Thanks again.
Thank you. In the front row, sir?
Yes, my name is Chris Bell. I live on St. George Court, which nobody knows where that is.
I do.
It's up the hill.
Mhm.
Kind of looks over this property. I've spoken before at these meetings. I pretty much have not changed my position. I think that the proposed business is out of character with the area. I think visual effect is a big concern. And so I looked around for something that had not been said before. There was a gas station on the property. There was a sign in conjunction with the gas station, one of those tall things that displays how much they're going to charge for a gallon of gas today. That sign has been broken for a long time. Panels are missing from it. Mr. Wahid has previously said that he plans to put a panel on the sign with the name of his business, Mo's Motor Cars. I would like some kind of stipulation be made, should you decide to approve this project, that that sign will be promptly cleaned up either by removing the remaining bits and pieces of electrical equipment that hang from it now and the sign that says there's an ATM inside, and either get it filled in with blank panels or with whatever final sign that Mr. Wahid proposes. But again, my principal objection is that it is out of character with the general area. So I am not in favor.
Thank you. Any other individuals here tonight present? Before I go to Mr. Mack via Zoom. And before I start and allow Mr. Mack to undertake his, is there anyone else on the internet who wishes to make a statement tonight at tonight's public hearing in reference to this matter? Please indicate by putting a thumbs up through the Zoom application on your screen so that when Mr. Mack is completed, we can then recognize you and give you your time. Mr. Mack, it is your turn, please.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Keith Mack. I live at 2 Fairway Drive. On December 16th, at the first installment of this public hearing, I read a statement raising some questions and concerns regarding this project. Some of the questions have been addressed in the planning board and others have not. One glaring one is the ADA requirement on the site. The planning board did require an ADA parking space be included, but its location, as I understand it, does not follow ADA guidelines. It should be as close to the building entrance as viable. Also, if there is ADA parking, doesn't it also follow that the office would have to be ADA compliant as well? Yet the planning board approved the site plan without addressing these issues. And why is that? I also raised questions regarding the project's benefits to the community. Mr. Wahid says he doesn't understand why people keep saying it does not benefit the community. He points to the property being back on the tax rolls as a benefit. And yes, that is true. But the fact is that as soon as he purchased the property, it went back on the tax rolls. And this project does not increase the property's tax levy because he is not actually improving the property with a permanent structure. The project does not create any new jobs. Though Mr. Wahid claims that businesses that he hires to do his mechanical work and detailing will be hiring. But is that really logical? That a local business will have to increase staff because they got one new client? I sincerely doubt it. After the December 16th meeting, an article came out highlighting the opposition to this project, in which Mr. Wahid is quoted as saying, "They cannot block me unless there are serious zoning issues," and there is not. That the site already is zoned for everything I'm doing. He continues, "My idea is going to wake up that little part of the road and not in a negative way." This is patently false. This project does not fall under the current zoning, or we would not be here talking about a special use permit. And as
Mr. Mack, you muted your microphone. Could you go back and rewind about 2 minutes? Thank you.
how about at the December 16th meeting?
Patently untrue.
Okay, that's fine. It's patently false. This project does not fall under current zoning, or we wouldn't be here talking about a special use permit. And as such, the board has every right to deny that permit. The facts remain, this project provides little to no benefit to the community. No new jobs, no direct service for the residents, and clearly, certainly does not improve the aesthetics of the neighborhood. It has no support, zero, from the community, as shown by the petitions presented in opposition. It is truly a blight on the character of the neighborhood and will certainly negatively impact the property values of all the neighbors. I would be willing to bet that no member of the board would want this business next to their house. In light of these facts, and that the board and the committees of this town exist to represent the residents of the town and protect our interests and the character of our communities, I ask that the town board support their constituents and reject this application for a special use permit. Thank you.
I believe Mr. George's iPad started to speak up before Mr. Mack. I believe he has some comments.
Yes, my name is George Mack. I live at 471 Hurley Avenue, which is diagonally across the street from the project. I am very concerned about the impact that this project might have on my property value. I fully agree with the concerns of my neighbors and everything that has been said concerning this project. And I feel that the town board, as representative of the neighborhood, has the authority to say no to this project. And we would like you to do so. Thank you.
Are there any other individuals on the internet that wish to make public comment?
Yes, I do.
Please proceed.
Hi, my name is Al Tafano. I am at 482 Hurley Avenue, right down the street from the proposed project that wants a variance. I don't see any need for the variance. The requirements I don't think are necessary. I think a 4-foot fence is more than enough. I spoke with Mr. Wahid prior at an earlier meeting. In the meetings that I was at, I also, just have the same stance of I don't think the variance is required, as the rest of the area has 4-foot fences, 4-foot stockade fences. Mr. Wahid's concern is vandalism on his property, or to the property, or to the assets he wants to put on the property. And as Tara said earlier, an 8-foot fence, 6-foot fence, a 4-foot, it's not going to stop somebody who wants to get on his property. It does not fit with the aesthetic of the town. Doesn't fit with the aesthetic of the road. Just a few months ago, a house down the street sold for $2 million. There's another house on the market for $1 million. Our property values will be affected when they see, something akin to an impound yard on a nice, quiet street like this, across the street from a church, next to a Catholic school, which, even though the school is closed, it is still being maintained and taken care of, I guess, as best as possible. It doesn't serve a purpose by increasing the fence size. Mr. Wahid's concern was that he was worried about people driving onto his property and turning around and those types of things, where we have similar issues like that around on Hurley Avenue, where they put up a pole gate. Serves a purpose, does what it's supposed to do, keeps people off the property from turning their vehicles around. Again, I don't think that there's a use for that type of what Mr. Wahid wants to put in, but it doesn't fit in our community. And as was said earlier, there's dozens of car dealers in this area, and there's not a single one of them that has a fence around it. So I do not think, and I do not approve of the variance being granted. Thank you.
Are there any other individuals willing to make public comment?
If I might be able to speak.
Henry, go ahead.
Okay, I am Henry Albrechtsen. I am the pastor of Good Shepherd Lutheran Church immediately next door to the proposed project. First of all, I want to thank the planning board and particularly Chairman Ring and the zoning board and the town for all their consideration for some of the issues that we have brought forth concerning this project, including the threat of, or I should say, the possible disruption of our services on Sunday morning, which the planning board put in their recommendation that no business was to be conducted prior to noon, which covers both our churches. I am not in favor of this project overall, simply because I do not see the benefit to the community. That being said, I agree with Pastor Schultz that the fence should be kept at the 4-foot height, that it should be disguised both by appropriate landscaping as was placed in the planning board's recommendation, and also that it should be somehow muted by a screening, whether it be green slats throughout of a type of material that will not disintegrate as easily as we see some of these slats do from time to time. Within a year, with all the changes of weather in our area of the world, they easily can begin to disintegrate and look even more like a junkyard than it might anyway. Whatever the town decides, definitely will try the best as we possibly can at Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, join our colleagues across the street at Cross Point to be good neighbors and a blessing to Mr. Wahid and his business. However, I still would like the town to consider not endorsing the variance for the reasons that all of our neighbors have stated.
Thank you, Pastor. Are there any other individuals on Zoom who wish to comment? Do you see any? Are there any individuals here who would like to add to anything that has been said? I would like to motion to adjourn. Mr. Van Cleek?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn, but there's been new information that we have received as board members as late as yesterday and today, and that we do need to solicit more community input. So I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this to the February 3rd meeting.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the matter? May I have a roll call vote?
Councilman Van Cleef,
Yes.
Councilman Secreto,
Yes.
Councilman Kitchen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hayner. Supervisor Quigley.
Yes. This public hearing is hereby adjourned to the Town of Ulster Workshop Meeting for February 3rd, 2022 at 7:15 in the PM. In the meantime, the town board and the town attorney and the town building department will continue to evaluate the information that has recently been presented to us and to formulate a position. With that being said, that concludes tonight's agenda and tonight's public hearings. I am pleased to open the floor to any individual here tonight who wishes to make comment on any matter to the town board.
Supervisor, can I speak on this or no?
Please, you didn't speak up before, but we'll come back to you after. we finish public
I was
comment.
waiting the whole time, Supervisor.
I didn't see any indication that you were going.
I
to-
assumed you're waiting for them and then I get to speak. This is my project and you're just gonna
And
pass it?
please let Mr. Mohid have his
Wahid.
5 minutes and please proceed.
Okay. So I'm trying to address some of the issues that are repeated on every meeting, okay? And that was no community benefit, okay? So when they say that, oh, the taxes, it's not a big deal, your town, along with all other towns, run on property taxes. There's been no income from this property. It's just been there sitting dead. Another woman was asking, what other projects? Very simple. In the city of Kingston, right behind City Hall, there was a project there that I was involved with. It was my father's property and I managed everything, okay? And it was 1/4 of an acre. And I got approved for a giant mechanic shop that took up half the lot. It was 1/4 of an acre. And it was in a very residential mixed neighborhood, but it was zoned commercial. I just never followed through, but I cleaned up the property. The whole neighborhood was happy because it was a distressed property with 2 junk buildings. Now, we're at a property that's 4 times the size on a main road, and people keep on quoting the churches. I'm opening a strip club. I'm not opening an abortion clinic. It's a used car dealership, and I'm sure the board members were very shocked to hear about such an uprise, with this. So first and foremost about Pastor Schultz across the street. He has been a major blessing. I never said he goes around promoting me or he's like my, nothing. It's just that I made all the changes really because Pastor Schultz presented it to me. He said, hey, Mo, why don't you do this? Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? It was his idea about the shrubbery. We came from an 8-foot to a 6-foot. Meanwhile, the zoning board was going to go through with the 8. It didn't matter, but the whole town was just going crazy. So I said, okay, fine. I went to the 6, but again, it's for Pastor Schultz. So he has been a blessing and he's right in front of me. So I'm not going to do anything to disrespect him, especially because he's been such a blessing to me. So I just want to rectify that. So no one thinks like, whatever. Okay. Another thing is on that petition, they specifically attempt to get the planning board or the town board to commit a crime, to do something illegal, saying, we ask you to restrict the use of this property because of the neighborhood. So restrict the use, override the town code for what it's zoned for. And what I'm asking for is zoned for it. And they keep saying it's not. That's not true. Okay. And another thing is, almost nobody has mentioned, except the gentleman, Mr. Bell, right here, first time and all the times, he's saying it's a gas station. If you look on the petition, everybody keeps quoting it like it's some convenience store selling milk and cookies or it was a dairy barn. People need to understand, this was a petroleum distribution facility. Let's repeat that. Petroleum distribution facility that caught on fire, that if it wasn't for the local fire department, would have exploded so bad if it got to the tanks, where the whole neighborhood would never forget to call it a gas station, okay? Everybody's in such denial, and they keep saying, oh, I purchased it, so I'm paying the property taxes. I purchased it with the assumption it's zoned for everything that I wanted to do. I called the building inspector before I purchased it. Everything was zoned. I think there was a miscommunication. He thought that it was, without a special use permit. We had a little, he wasn't sure. That's okay. I mean, it's not his fault. Okay. I didn't even know that I had to go through that. I understand about the site plan because I did a site plan in the city of Kingston. City of Kingston's very strict. I could build a gigantic auto body shop here with fumes everywhere, mechanics making noise. I could do that. I have the legal right. I don't even need a special permit. For some reason, because of this old code, the used cars requires that, which is fine. It's old code. It's outdated. Okay, but I'm not doing that. And people were talking bad about the trailer. I'm going to paint it. I'm going to put skirts on it so it looks like a structure. People should be happy that I'm not building a gigantic facility. And they keep saying, oh, he's from out of town. That's the reason why I got the fence, because it's not going to be a major operation. It's just me. That's the purpose. And it's 2022. Welcome to virtual business. Amazon does this millions a day, billions of dollars a day. And they don't pay taxes here. They barely pay any taxes anywhere. You could go look it up. So, but that's a different story. But I'm just saying, like, people are in complete denial. They don't want to face the facts that it's a commercial property. I'm not taking a nursing home or a house and trying to put a used car lot. I did all my research before, and it's very insulting when people say, oh, I don't have experience. I haven't done this before. I've done it plenty of times. In the town of Marlboro, I've done lot line revisions, been in front of the planning board a couple of times. In the city of Kingston, that's closest to you guys, so you can understand the same type of project, but it was 1/4 of an acre. Okay. The planning board knows me in the city of Kingston. When they find out, they're like, wow, they're going to give you a problem for this. They couldn't even believe it. Even my attorney in the planning board over there, he couldn't even fathom that a neighborhood is upset about a dump property, that people were dumping things. It was disgusting for 9 years. I don't know where was this uproar when it was a dump. For 9 years. If the neighborhood wanted it to be this big major waterfall with park, beautiful, glaring, they had 9 years to do it. Why didn't they do anything? They did nothing, absolutely nothing. Now,
I have given you more than 5 minutes.
Okay, but Supervisor Quigley, I've been attacked every meeting, they keep repeating the same thing. Now, just a few more minutes. As far as that petition, if I right now file the petition, I could get you 200 signatures to say, I don't want a skating rink next to my property, okay? That property has been dead for 20 years. If this guy used some of his energy to develop his own property for 20
Please,
years.
let's not go on these personal rants of
Okay,
attacking
okay,
other
that's no
people.
problem, but
Statements have been
everybody's
made
personal
on the
with me.
project. I'd like to keep it on topic, please.
Okay, sir, everyone's been personal with me. They're questioning if I know about what I'm doing. Everybody's questioning everything I'm doing. They're asking me, where is he selling the cars? This has nothing to do with the structure of what I'm putting there and the way it looks to the neighborhood. They're trying to audit me. Like they're part of the New York State sales tax and the IRS. They're trying to audit me and my life. I'm not running for Congress.
Thank you,
okay?
Mr. Wahid.
All-
Thank you.
what was that?
Thank
All
you.
right.
Ms. Parks,
Hello again. I'm here because I was here on December 16th speaking on the matter of people walking on Highway 28. So on December 16, I said something about people walking and being in danger because of the traffic on Highway 28. A lot of cars go around 50 miles an hour. Within days after I came to speak up here, a lady got hit and killed right in front of Motel 19. She was crossing Highway 28. Now, I have contacted County Legislator Brian Cahill. I have been trying to talk to DSS, and the answer I always get is, where would you like me to put these people? These people clearly need a roof overhead. It is cold outside, but they do not have a proper care and proper vision from the different departments where they are provided with care and supervision to get to laundry, to get to the store. Because last night, my husband saw a male walking on 28 again in the middle where the yellow lines are, carrying grocery bags. It was dark. So it's happening over and over. I do not know what else to do, where to go. I tried to contact Pat Ryan's office. They said they will call me back. That was over a week ago, never heard from them. I would like a board in town of Worcester to help me out with this issue. Even today, my husband was going home on City View Terrace. He saw a couple walking that was from the motel by Skytop. And he had to stop his car as another car was coming from other direction so that the car could pass so he can go around the people. When you have to stop your car in the middle of the road to pass people walking on a small road, it's crazy, because in the dark, that could not maybe be possible. Sometimes when it's dark and there is no sidewalks, no streetlights, it is very hard to see those people. And now with the snow on the road, there's no way even for them to get off the road to the side to avoid the traffic. And not only that, we have this lady there on the corner of City View Terrace and Forest Hill, crossing the road continuously all day long. In fact, when the lady got hit and killed by the car, many were concerned, was it her? Thank goodness it wasn't her. But I believe it's just a matter of time before somebody else gets hurt seriously over there. Please help with this matter. Thank you.
any other comments tonight for any matters that you wish the town board to be aware of? Regis, no comments? I'm poking. I know. We have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Tonight's meeting is hereby adjourned, and we will see you on February 3rd.